Hello, I'm Julie, and this is Stamp with Julie Baum. Today, I'm going to show you how to make this cute basket out of cardstock. It is a simple project and one that you're going to want to try. So let's get started. I am using Lemon Lolly as my cardstock color, and I have a piece that is 8.5 inches by 8.5. Then I have a separate piece that is 1 inch by 8.5 inches. The first thing that you're going to do is make some score marks on this large piece of cardstock. So I'm going to bring in my Simply Scored, but you could also use your paper trimmer with the scoring blade. All right, because it's square, it doesn't matter really where you start, and you're simply going to put it onto your scoring tool and score at 2.5 inches. Turn a quarter turn and score again at 2.5 inches. We are going to do this all the way around. The scoring for now is done, although we will come back and do a tiny bit of scoring in just a moment. So set your scoring tool aside, but not out of reach. All right, so with my bone folder, I'm just going to reinforce all of those folds right along the score lines that I just made. So all of these, two each way. Then you're going to want some scissors, and you can definitely use your paper snips if you'd like. I'm going to go ahead and use a full-size scissors for this. Now it doesn't matter which side you begin on because they are all the same. So whatever you do is fine. Just pick a side opposite the other side. We're going to work on two opposite sides, and we're not going to do anything on these. So I'm going to start here, and I'm going to snip on the line, the score and fold line, all the way up to where it meets that line. And I'm going to do the same thing here. Then, before I turn my paper, I'm going to take this flap here and just visually imagine it into thirds. And I'm going to cut twice so that I cut this into 3 pieces. And you're going to cut up to the line and then stop. And it's not terribly important if your segments are not completely equal. Like this one, you can see this one's a little bit wider than these two. It's fine. You just want to get as close as you can without having to measure and mark. All right, and then as you can see, I've done the same thing on this side. All right, now I'm going to do the exact same thing on the side opposite. So I'm going to flip mine all the way around. Cut here right on the score and folded line, and here. Then I'll do the same step of visually imagine this into thirds and go ahead and make those cuts as well. All right, we have one more segment. And then we can simply do our assembly. Now, as I mentioned, there's one more thing that we're going to score. So the piece here and here, so the long segment that's between the cut segments is the piece that we're going to score. And I'll show you how I'm going to do that. All right, so just because I'm turning my paper, I'm going to put a tiny little X on here so that if you get turned around, you can see. So we're going to do it to this one and to this one. All right. You don't have to mark yours. I don't want it to be confusing now that I'm going to turn this onto the scoring tool. All right, so I'm going to bring this in. And what I want is I want a 1/2 inch scored just on this piece. So there's a number of ways you can do it. You can certainly work from this side. You can see I've got a marker here at the 1/2 inch. So I'll show you that first. But you got to tuck these little tabs out of the way. Then when you do the scoring, you will need to go ahead and set the stylus in the groove up here because it's hard to find which one it is if you don't. So stick it in the groove at the 1/2 inch mark, come down, and then when you get to the paper, you're going to lift the stylus slightly just to get it onto the paper and then score. All right, so that's how we do it. Now, I think it's awkward to work over here. You can see how my hands are crossed because I'm right-handed, this little 1/2 inch. So instead of doing that, I like to score it on this side. So I would have instead had it this way. And because I know my paper is 8.5, I would have put the stylus at 8. Draw it down, pick it up so it gets onto the paper, and then do your scoring. See there? All right, so that's what I'm going to do with this other side. Tuck these out of the way so you can see what you're doing, and you don't want to score those little flaps. Put your stylus right at the 8, bring it down, pick it up just so you can get it onto the cardstock, and then do your score. All right, easy peasy. Let's take that and move it completely out of the way now. And only because I did make a pencil mark, I'm going to go ahead and erase that. All right, the first thing that I'm going to do, actually I'm going to go ahead and fold that. And it doesn't matter which way you fold it. You can fold it in or out. This part is not fussy. So where we're going to go from here, this is going to be the side of the basket. These little flaps are going to become the woven part. So we're going to secure them, but they're going to overlap like this. So you can see where we're going. So with this piece, you can either seal it in this direction, which is what I'm going to do, or you can put your adhesive here and seal it to the inside. Either way is completely acceptable. I feel like if you fold it to the inside, then that little flap kind of shows on the inside of the basket. Not that that matters because you're going to put some filler and some treats in there. But that's about the only difference. I cannot find the end of this tape. There it is. Okay, so I'm going to put my tear and tape on this flap. And on this flap, and I'm going to have my flaps folded to the outside of the basket because my little strips that we're going to overlap will pretty much cover this anyway. So some tear and tape here, tear and tape here. Let's go ahead and remove that backing tape. And then that can get sealed down and down. Now we're going to finish our sides of the basket just with some multi-purpose liquid glue. So I'm working on the first side. I'm going to layer these little strips. These are going to become the sides of the basket. And I'm going to start with the bottom one first. So I'm just going to take a little bit of glue and put it here on the end and bring it up. So it's basically touching the top of this flap, and it just goes in the right direction. If you just aim for the middle and for the top of this, you can't go wrong. Then I'm going to put some glue on the next one, and it's going to come over and aim to line up with the top of your basket side. And stick that into place so you can see that. Then I'm going to put adhesive here. Bringing that over and hold it in place. So there is the first half of the first side. All right, now I'm going to turn this down on my desktop surface and just press it. Okay, now we're going to do the other side. So starting with this bottom flap, a little bit of glue, bring it over and hold it. Some glue on the next one. put it into place. And then on the third one. And like I did the first round, I'm just going to stick it down and really press it into place. Now, if you have glue dots and you want to use glue dots instead of the liquid glue, that will work. If you want to use tear and tape for each one of those little flaps, that will work too. It'll just be more time consuming. Okay, so the first side of my basket is finished. Now I'm going to flip it over. We're going to do the exact same process on this side. A little bit of glue and stick it. Glue and stick. Now, if you are curious, this basket could definitely be made using designer series paper if you wanted to, but keep in mind that it will be very delicate. It's going to be very lightweight for a box this large, and so you wouldn't be able to put anything with much weight into it. So the cardstock for how I'm imagining filling these is a better choice. You can also start with a smaller square. So we started with 8.5 inches square on our cardstock. You can go down to, say, a 6-inch square and make a smaller basket. So this is just enough to get you started, giving you the basic instructions and how to do it. And then you can use your imagination for how you want to maybe change it up a little bit. All right, here's our last flap, pulling it over and getting it into place. And I'm going to press it down. Now, at this point, it's entirely up to you. We are going to put a handle onto the basket. And so if you would want to, you could use glue and attach your handle here to the inside of the basket. But I'm going to tell you what I've been doing and what we did in Stamp Club, and that is to go ahead and secure this with a staple. It's going to get covered anyhow. So I'm going to staple here and staple here, but we can save a step and also staple the handle on right at the same time. So before I do my stapling, I am going to take my bone folder and just run it along the edge of this strip, which causes it to curl a little bit. And that way it makes it a little bit easier to form your handle. So I've got my basket handle. It can go on the outside or the inside. It doesn't matter. You're going to decorate this, so it's going to get covered no matter what. So for this one, I'm just going to stick my handle on the outside and grab a stapler, stick it in here. So now that not only is holding the handle to the basket, but it's also kind of securing all of those layers. I am going to take my bone folder and just press those little staple edges down. This is quite thick, and so when you put the staple in there, the little ends don't want to lay down. So just to keep it smooth, I pressed that down. Let's repeat that on this side. Handle and stapler. Staple it in place. I'm going to press those pointy ends down so they're not sharp. And there you have an adorable gift basket. Now, right now, this would be a perfect little basket to fill for Easter or for Mother's Day, which is coming up. So I'm going to show you how I finished my baskets. I'm not going to do the decorating here on this video, but I will show you some ideas just to get you started. So here's the one that I showed you in the beginning. This is made out of Parakeet Party, and I simply punched a couple of daisies and a center and added those to the outside of the basket. I've done this one in several colors. So here is this one in Coastal Cabana. And then for Easter, I'll show you the version that I'm using for some little treats for my grandchildren. And I went ahead and did a bunny on the side. Here, let's take these treats out. So I punched a bunny, and I just used a glue dot to attach a little mini pom-pom to decorate that. The bunny is on both sides. And then I filled it with Easter grass and some little treats. And that is just a cute and inexpensive little gift for an Easter basket. So I hope that you will try this. It's a lot of fun to make, and everybody that was at Stamp Club really loved this project. I had a good time sharing it with you, and until next time, happy stamping.